So what you're bringing home is 3 ounces of the Eau de Toilette, and then you're getting a travel size, which looks like a full size of most other brands, and that's how decadent the packaging is. It is a travel spray, and again, 1 ounce, so 4 ounces total. It's $130.66. But tonight, because we have that incredible March beauty event going on beautyiq.com, we kind of get to take some of our favorite players and be like, would you hook a girl up that just loves some perfume? And Ginger did. This is Ginger Mazikian. She, of course, brings us Guerlain. It's good to see you.
Happy birthday, beautiful.
Thank you.
You have that birthday glow about
thank you. Did you get highlights from the last time I saw you?
A while ago. I mean, they're kind of like growing out.
I love them. Well, you keep on with that balayage. Looks
when
good.
The sun comes out, you know, maybe I'll do more.
Eventually.
Whenever that is. When spring gets here.
We won't make plans just yet.
Of course.
You have the privilege of really working from, dare I say, one of the most sophisticated beauty brands. I mean, talk about standing the test of time.
Yeah, we're actually, speaking of birthdays, we're celebrating 190 years this year. Yeah, almost 200 years as an industry leader. I call us the great-grandfather of a lot of what you see out there in cosmetics. Because this is a first. This is a first in fragrance.
And it has such an incredible story, because I feel like from first spritz, I mean, when you take the top off the bottle, first of all, there is no more elegant bottle in your boudoir, your vanity, anything that you want to talk about. And truly, from first spritz, it is like taking a walk through history.
It really is. The story behind this. Well, at Guerlain, at the House of Guerlain, we've created about 1,100 fragrances to date.
Wow.
And we're very much inspired. Our founder, Pierre-François Pascal Guerlain, that's a mouthful.
Yes.
He was inspired by women of the day and faraway places, exotic places, romantic places. And this really speaks to that, because the name Shalimar means eternal love.
Yes.
And it didn't have a name when it was first created back in 1925, because it was created by Jacques Guerlain, so the nephew of Pierre-François Pascal Guerlain, and he was waiting to be inspired.
Yeah.
And he heard the story that happened 400 years prior about the Shah Jahan of India and his 13th wife, yes, number 13.
Lucky number 13.
Lucky number 13. And she was his favorite. So he built these beautiful gardens for her around the palace, almost kind of like a fortress to kind of keep her in. But he really created this beautiful sanctuary of beautiful flowers and exotic plants, fountains, and statues. And they spent a lot of time there. And he named the gardens Shalimar, which is ancient language for eternal love.
Wow.
So they spent a lot of time there, and she died giving birth to his only son. So the story is that he had the Taj Mahal built and had her entombed there. So is that a story?
I mean, and one of the seven wonders of the world,
exactly,
no less.
Exactly.
You know, like, can you imagine, like, when we talk about not only his favorite wife, the love of his life, and he went and built the Taj Mahal.
So we have clients who've worn this, and then some of them have taken the trip there and really felt so connected, because this has been their scent for, you know, it's been their signature, and it's really, they have their own stories to tell with Shalimar.
And you know, you have to think about, like, back then, I mean, losing somebody that is so special to you, and especially that love story of building the gardens and whatnot. I feel like from every spritz that you get of this, you get so many multi-dimensional notes that are almost like turning the pages of the most beautiful love letter.
Listen to how you tell that.
But I mean, that's what this fragrance makes me think of.
It's so emotional. Fragrance is very much tied to emotion. And when we tell this story, and when people tell us the story when they first wore it, they cry, or they just have this just feeling comes over them of just something so special in their life. And the scent it's an Oriental, which back in the day when it was launched was not really considered, it wasn't adopted right away, because it was different. It was the very first. So those warm, spicy notes, which are the dry down of tonka bean and vanilla, but it has the floral notes. It has the rose, which is what I call the queen fragrance, more classic, but then it has that touch of jasmine, which is a little sweeter, a little more playful. But what you initially get is the bergamot. Bergamot from Calabria, Italy. So you get a touch of that freshness, a little bit of that zest, and then it kind of dries down, and then the warmth of the flowers. It's just such a pretty, romantic, and still truly iconic and legendary scent.
Well, and you know, it's funny when you think about the bergamot and the vanilla story right now. That is a story, like, everything is cyclical, whether it's fashion, whether it's makeup.
Comes back around.
It really does. And the story right now in fragrance is to have something that is very sophisticated, that is alluring to everybody, but don't confuse alluring with weakness. Like this, I think, is for such a powerful woman that wants to be recognized. Like when she comes into the room, like, of course she wears something like Guerlain. She is a Guerlain lady.
Well, and at Guerlain, we say a trace of you in the memory of others. So definitely leaving that trail behind. And they say, you know, men really know this scent.
Yes.
They recognize it. And, you know, I said earlier that it wasn't adopted right away because it was so different. And they used to say that good girls didn't smoke, drink, stay out all night, dance the tango, or wear Shalimar.
Well, because it sounds like those are our best kind of girls.
There you go. And of course, I know that's me sometimes.
Yeah, dancing that tango, wearing Guerlain, and I mean the
How
way
cute
that
is this?
I know. Okay, first of all, this is like a full size.
It
in
is.
and of its own.
Cute, but it's not like a mini.
No.
It's definitely not a mini.
Like you won't use this one time and be like, oh, I spritzed too much. It's gone.
No.
It fits so comfortably in your hand, and I just love. Like this is like you're picking up a beautiful piece of fine crystal and you're just
jewelry,
spritzing, you know, all around your pulse points, all kind of just around walking through, having
through
that
the mist,
moment.
or behind your knees.
Yes. Okay, so why is it you're supposed to put fragrance behind your knees?
Well, it's a pulse point, so it kind of emits throughout the day. It's that place where your skin kind of, you know, rubs together. So it helps the fragrance to emit. And just like on your wrist, this is actually connected to your heart. So this is why you get that scent coming out every so often.
And you get a little pitter-patter in your heart.
Yes, you do. You absolutely do.
Beauties. We love when that happens. And tonight, again, remember, spring will show up eventually. Like if you're like my dad who lives in Florida, spring has been there since January.
And the show from LA, they're doing with, I saw Alberti. I'm
oh
like,
my gosh.
Why wasn't I on that
He sent me text messages today full of sunshine.
He's on a rooftop somewhere. I'm like, really?
I know. And so this is kind of that moment that I feel like when you're experiencing winter doldrums, which we're going to experience one tomorrow, this is something that reignites your spirit. But this is also something that when the weather's a little warm and you're thinking, I want to wear a little something off the shoulder tonight.
It's a sultry scent because that warmth. I mean, people, when I've worn this, they kind of, especially if my shoulder, they're kind of like, they come near me, they're like, almost like they want to nibble you.
Yes.
You know, it's like.
But that again goes back to kind of this historical really perseverance that the notes that were created in 1925 from Shalimar, from one of the greatest love stories in terms of just the heartbreak that happens when you lose somebody that you love, to then have those notes still evoke those emotions and be relevant.
Yes.
It's incredible.
It's truly stood the test of time.
Yes.
And again, it's one of those scents that our clients, the people who love it, have their own stories.
Yeah.
They feel connected. They know the story, the legend, and they you know, it's part of their romantic life because a lot of times they've received it as a gift.
Yes.
And it has that special place, and it's just timeless. It's a timeless scent for all ages, for all women.
And describe those scents again, because I feel like right now it can be more confusing than ever to be like, what's in fragrance? Because everybody kind of has their own style. But I feel like if you're still soft and you're still feminine, if you're empowered, if you love the ingredients of raw Mother Earth, if you love the idea of like the warmth of bergamot, like this is really something anyone can wear.
Absolutely. So it starts off with bergamot. The notes are a little bit citrusy in the beginning, and that's the first thing that goes away in a scent. So you get that initial freshness, but then comes the floral notes, the pretty notes, the feminine rose, the feminine jasmine. There's also a touch of iris in here, and iris is what gives it that powderiness because we don't actually get the scent
like
from
an
the
iris
petals
that you'd see in a garden.
Right, but the petals, if you smell it, have no scent. It comes from the roots, or what's called the rhizomes, which take years, 7 years to dry. So you get that powderiness that comes actually from the roots. So this has iris in it as well.
Cool.
And then it has the tonka bean, so a little nuttiness.
Yes, yes.
And the vanilla, again, a little sweetness, but more, not the floral sweet, but that kind of gourmand sweet, which means like gourmet, like edible note, which is where you get that nibble, that people want to nibble. So really not too complex, but just really they work so well together.
Yeah.
And if you give this 15 minutes to dry down, it starts to really become its true personality. And remember, you and I have different skin. I'm more olive than you. So your skin tone will grab certain parts of the scent, so you make it your own. Your skin is the missing note to any scent, so you'll pick up maybe more of the floral or citrus if you're fair. If you're deep or you have more oils, you might grab to those bottom notes more quickly.
Wow.
It's really very personal.
It's always so incredible what we learn with you with fragrance, because I mean, just even hearing you describe those notes, I feel like it's almost as if you took a poll of every woman worldwide and be like, what do you want out of a fragrance? And I mean that in such a positive way, because I feel like when women really allow you to find out what makes them feel most special and when it comes to scent, and yet you guys bottled it not just yesterday and not just 10 years ago, from 1925, from Guerlain fragrances that are celebrating more than 190 years. This is a wonderful time to again try something new, try something that's relevant, and remember at the end of it, the guy built the Taj Mahal because he lost the love of his life. This is the
any
fragrance.
more legendary than that.
Yes, this is the fragrance that was taken from those gardens, that really envelops that love story and was inspired by it, and still just as modern as ever for you to enjoy today.
Well, love is modern.
Yes, love is modern. And you know what? I don't have to be your 13th wife. I can just be your first. I can just be your first one and only. This is your 3 ounce. This is your 1 ounce. So 4 ounces total. An architecturally stunning bottle. Again, $130 value anywhere else. We have it for our March Beauty event for $89 and 4 easy payments. It's 830-290. You're going to be back with Elise later.
I certainly will.
Okay,
Can't wait to come back. Nice to see you. Happy birthday.
Thank you. All right, so right to next. I cannot wait to do this later and watch me some Housewives. My favorite thing to do, my Purity Made Simple cleanser. Because guess what? I know my makeup's going to come off. So here's what I'll do. Great dress, by the way.
I'm having to do a little maneuver.
I know. These, you know what? It's so funny. Did you ever used to watch 30 Rock? Ever?
Like back in the day, I guess, maybe once or twice.
All right, I've been saying this a lot, but when Liz Lemon, Tina Fey's character, got a promotion and finally she got like the boss office, the chair was so high her feet wouldn't touch the ground. So when she'd hold the thing, back and forth.